My job now, I make really good money, right? My job is a lot harder now than it was when I was sleeping on a couch with a fold-out table. My job is very hard, but I love it because it's what I'm built to do. God is using me in amazing ways, and He's going to use you too. We all have a divine calling and purpose in our lives, and you got to figure that out. And when you lean into that, you're going to do amazing.
Welcome back to another episode of the Law Firm Success Story. Now, today we're going to have a great guest on because, as many lawyers know, to be successful, it is going to require you to have a certain level of confidence. Now, I'm excited about this guest because I grew up in a house where my parents always talked about this thing of, hey, we go from faith to faith, from glory to glory. And I really want to talk about faith and that role that plays in your success in your law firm. Welcome our guest. Greg, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I loved your little intro, by the way. I always like that. It shows all the important things in life, and you got your wife on there. It's good. And your intro was great too, because I can tell you were raised in a Christian household. I was raised Catholic. I wasn't really raised in a Christian household. So all of my spiritual knowledge came later in life, and thank God it did, because I really feel like that's the main reason why we've had the success we've had, is because of my conversion to Christianity, and then ultimately my application of biblical truths. So I like glory to glory, man. That's the way it is.
Awesome. And I'm very interested to talk about your story and just how that played a role in your business, because I think there are a lot of people who do feel like there are things that they value personally, things that if you talk to them outside of their law firm, there's all these values that they find to be very important, but sometimes they feel like there has to be this wall of, hey, that can't come into my business. So I'm curious, so you tell us a little bit about your law firm, how your law firm looks today, and then let's take a step back and walk through what that journey looked like for you.
Sure. So we're a personal injury firm. We have about 200 employees worldwide. Some of them are contractors, some are employees. And we started, my wife and I, 14 years ago, with a fold-out table and a laptop computer, just the two of us, and we scaled to this sort of big operation. And to answer your question, you hit on a theme that I really want to drive, and that's authenticity. I had a law firm before. It did not do well. I have a law firm now. It does very well. I think last year we settled over $200 million in cases. This year we'll probably settle certainly over $100 million. I don't know where we're going to end up, but we've grown 20 to 50% every year, except for COVID. The truth is that to be successful, as I had said before, it's a mindset shift, and it's a spiritual game that you're playing businesses. And if you're not 100% authentic with your beliefs that are outside the firm and bring them inside the firm, then you're fighting with one hand tied behind your back. You've got to be 100% authentic, because your clients, your partners, your team, they can tell when you have some inauthenticity. I talk about my faith, and you don't have to be Christian to work for us. In fact, I say you don't got to believe what I believe to be successful, but I do believe that the Christian principles that I have in my life and I try and work towards, I mess up a lot. I try and work towards these principles. I believe adhering to those, I think those are just basic good business sense too. I studied a lot of business stuff, and if you really boil it down, the stuff's in the Bible. It's all there. If you're asking me right out of the gate, starting off, you're an entrepreneur, you're not getting traction. Are you being 100% authentic in every belief? The Bible says, don't yoke yourself unequally. Are you 100% aligned with the business partners that you have? Are you really working towards a divine plan, not your financial plan? And so that's another big thing. You're talking about goal setting. When I stopped caring about making a lot of money is when I started making a lot of money. I started wanting to serve God. I started wanting to serve people. I said, who are the people I can serve? And when I did that, man, the floodgates of heaven opened, and we've done really well. But I was chasing the $1 million dream for years. I did not make $1 million. Freaking years. I had a gold card in my pocket. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have $1.2 million in passive income from multiple sources. Read it every day, twice a day. And then I threw the gold card out, and I said, I'm just going to do what God has for me. And kaboom, right? It's just the first year we made half that. The second year we made that. The third year we doubled it. The fourth year we doubled that. And so praise God. And when I stopped, and then I started giving back a lot. Or I didn't start. I'd always been giving back. But so there's 50 nuggets in there. I hope somebody gets it useful. If I can do it, you guys can do it. Trust me, because I'm about as dumb as they come, I think. And I'm pretty stubborn. I got a huge ego. And so I had to get myself out of the way, get aligned with what God had for my life, and be authentic in what I'm doing. And I just talk about it all the time like this. So authenticity, number one rule, you got to be authentic.
Awesome. I love it. I'm very curious when you talk about being authentic, like for a lot of lawyers that I have talked to that have embraced just being who you are, and letting those values that you have in your life just really impact the way you show up in your law firm. Do you feel like that also had an impact on being authentic in your business, also had an impact on your personal life as well?
Fortunately, my wife taught me to be authentic in my personal life before I was authentic in my business. I had to strip off all that stuff. Listen, here's the problem with law school and most professional educations. They strip away your humanity, right? They want to teach you to think like a lawyer, and that's great. But then you forgot how to think like a human being. You go into being a lawyer, and look, I can go Mr. Roboto on you. I can go all in this element, and I can do all that. But no client cares about that. They care about, can you help me or not? What's my upside? What's my downside? If you get a bad health diagnosis, you don't want to know the history of cancer. You want to know, is there a cure and what do I got to do to get better? Clients they get hurt in a car wreck. How can I get my bills paid? How can I'm out of work? How do I not lose my home? Like, and you're like, the element of negligence was satisfied when the driver failed to did not maintain proper lookout. And I've seen lawyers do that. I've seen multi-million-dollar cases. The lawyer comes in and they talk about the elements and the burden of proof. I'm like, are you out of your effing mind? Like, bro, can you help them or not? And you got to tell them, look, I could probably help you, but there's always a chance. If we go to a jury, you get bad jurors, we may lose, but I'm willing to take that chance for you. And that's what you do. That's a human being, right? That's authenticity. So you can't be, and one other big thing about the authenticity, it's not about you at all. Like a lot of lawyers, we get tied up in our egos. It's like, I'm the trial lawyer. I'm going to get you this result. No, man, listen, you had something bad happen to you. I'm going to do my best to take care of you. This is about your story. It's all about you. Tell me how this has hurt you. Tell me how this has affected you. Because we're there fiddling with our Rolex watches, thinking we're the big thing, and it's all about us. And then the clients, they hate us. They hate us. They think we're pricks. And so you can't be like that, man. You got to be relatable. You got to tell your client your stories about how you've been through pain so you understand their pain. And Mr. Client, I never had to worry about paying my rent, thank God. I understand this is a big deal for you. I've had times in my life when I've been short, I know. And so I'm going to do my best to put you back where you were before this wreck happened. I can't do it 100%, but I'll do my best for you. Man, that's authentic. I want to help this guy. It's not about me. It's about them. It's about their story.
Now, as you mentioned about having 200 plus employees and contractors, like, how do you work to get that philosophy also adopted by the rest of the team? Because as your team, it's one thing to have it yourself, but as you have a growing team, and like I said, you got teams in places around the world, like,
Yep.
how do you really demonstrate or allow that to be the culture that people are stepping into?
So that's the leader's job, right? That's my job is to set culture. CEO really has 3 jobs, right? Know the numbers, enforce your culture, and recruiting and retention, right? That's a CEO's job. So you're enforcing your culture. And what we did is we didn't know what our culture was at first. I knew I was a born again Christian. I knew that I wanted to follow Jesus and everything. I wanted to be a light. I knew that's a value. But after a few years, we took our key core players and said, what do we stand for? What do we want this thing to stand for? And we made a list of 100 things and we compressed them down to 7 core values. And then we live by those. We hire by those. Number 1, service to the client. Service to the team is number 2. Service to the community, number 3. Number 4, faith, which is really my personal core value, number 1, right? Leadership, loyalty, and accountability. And so we try and hire around those things. We talk about them all the time. I quiz people on them. I always make sure that if I see somebody doing something where they put the client first, I give a shout out, a reward for that. If I see somebody who, like, for example, I had a lawyer who hung up on a client a few months ago, I gave him a write up. I'm like, you do not hang up on a client. I don't care how, bad it's going, right? If they're being rude to you, you let me know. I'll make the decision to discharge that client, but you never hang up on a client. That's unprofessional, right? So we got to give the smack down a little bit to enforce the culture, and they know we're serious about it. And so that, know what your values are, know what you stand for, and live, breathe, and die by those values. And if a client is going to hurt or we're going to hurt, we're going to take the hurt, period. If a team member is going to hurt or you're going to hurt, I ask my people, you take the hurt, because that means uplifting your team members, because that means they're going to help you when the chips are down. And if they don't do that, they're not part of our culture. And so there will come a time when they're just going to go away. Culture will dictate your growth, right? We bring more people in who support this culture. If they don't support the culture, they offboard themselves. They know. That lawyer, I was getting ready to give him a write-up and he quit. We knew it was coming. I wasn't going to fire him, but he just quit. He knew he didn't fit the culture. And it's good that way. I have to be okay with that. And you're not able to bring everybody into your boat. Irvin Gonzalez, a great trial lawyer, one time said to me, you got a boat. You can't save everybody. Sometimes you got to throw people life preserver. That's talking about clients. That's talking about teammates. That's talking about everybody in your life. Sometimes you can just throw somebody a life preserver, but it's not your job to save every human being because they will sink your boat. So you got to be careful. Who are you called to serve? And that's who you go after.
I love it. We try to keep these interviews pretty short. So what I will say is if people want to find out more about the awesome things your firm is up to or follow you on social media, whatever, like where should they look to find you online?
So you can just on Instagram, I'm attorney Greg Ward, and Facebook, obviously Greg Ward, LinkedIn, Greg Ward, but Instagram, I have weekly coaching, little minute, 2 minute things about values or growing your organization. It's been my pleasure. I hope that I can be of use to some people. I hope some people see this because I'll tell you, it's hard to cut through the noise, right? It's good what you're doing, the stories of encouragement. And I'll just leave by saying, God does have a plan for your life. Get your spirituality worked out. Make sure you have good people around you and uplifting people. And just try and figure out what God's plan is for your life and who he wants you to help. Because once you do that, the windows of heaven will open and things will go really well. That doesn't mean it's not going to be hard. My job now, I make really good money, right? My job is a lot harder now than it was when I was sleeping on a couch with a fold-out table. My job is very hard, but I love it because it's what I'm built to do. God is using me in amazing ways, and he's going to use you too. We all have a divine calling and purpose in our lives, and you got to figure that out. And when you lean into that, you're going to do amazing. So I wish the best for all of you. I wish you all be blessed, and I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit of our story. Attorney Greg Ward on Instagram. You'll see more stuff there. Hopefully it'll be useful to you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Greg.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Law Firm and Finance Show, where we give you great content that helps you build a more successful law firm. So make sure you hit that subscribe button on all platforms and follow us for more content.